Thing we have, we've scheduled a public hearing on the county road aid and the local government economic assistance thing. And JR, if you will present for the public hearing the roads that you're recommending.
Yes, sir. Good morning. We usually start back in late fall, looking at all the roads, narrowing them down. I started out with about 12 roads, narrowed it down to fit the amount of repaving dollars that the judge had told me I could do, which was $750,000. I'm going to propose North Mount Gilead, Fisher's Mill Road, Hinton Cemetery Road, Merlin Drive, and Oxford Village Lane, a total of a little over 9 miles, $745,000.
Any questions for JR? Does anyone have any comments from the court on the public hearing? Anyone in the audience on the public hearing?
Can you repeat the roads for me, please?
Repeat the roads.
Can you repeat the roads one more time? I'm sorry.
How about if I give you a copy?
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's what I was planning on doing.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Anyone from the audience have anything? If not, close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Jeff. I'm behind schedule here.
Fisher's,
You have
Fisher's
a
Mill.
copy of the minutes? Any additions or corrections?
Sutherland Drive.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to be approved. You get those two? We've got too many things going on here. All in favor? You have a copy of the transfers. Any questions on those? If not, I'll entertain a motion the transfers be approved.
Hey, Judge, is the jail general fund or jail fund general, that's just a,
That's the different funds we have. Yeah, we
No,
have.
he's talking
Oh,
about-
I'm sorry.
We transferred some money from the general fund to the jail to cover
Oh,
some.
oh, that's below the line. The jail, in a year's time, we put about $2.5 million in the jail fund from the general fund. Their income, the jail's about $400,000 a year. It costs about $3 million to operate the jail. So we transfer money out of the general fund into the jail fund. And it has to be noted in the minutes according to the auditor. So that's what that is.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay. You have a copy of the bills and hand checks. Any questions on any of those? If not, I'll entertain a motion. They be
Motion.
approved. Mr. Hoffman, Mr. Burke, all in favor? Okay, we got that. Also, we have to note in the minutes that you received the quarterly report, and they were placed on your desk. Anybody that didn't receive them? Okay, let the minutes show that everyone received the quarterly reports. We had one of the older EMS vehicles. I guess what was it, motor or transmission?
Transmission.
Transmission, and it was gonna cost more to repair it than the value of the vehicle.
It's one of the administrative cars, and it's a 2002, 137,000 miles, and the transmission's out of it. So we'd like to recommend a replacement vehicle that we have on from Paul Miller. We found a pretty much identical one we bought last fall, and the only difference is on this one, they're giving us the state price, but they have to add a couple of things since it was on their lot. There's a couple of charges that are, since it's not an ordered car, it's about $500-600 difference than the state contract price.
Now, because it's not on the state bid contract, we have to do one of two things. Either go out for bids, which would take several weeks, or declare it an emergency. And right now, I think you're using a pool car, aren't you? Pretty
It's
hard
one of
to,
the old sheriff's.
old sheriff vehicles, and pretty hard to transport any victims and any patients in that. So,
What kind of vehicle was it that died?
2002 Explorer,
Explorer?
mhm.
And what kind of vehicle you buying, another Explorer?
2015 Explorer.
The price on it is $28,154.76. I think we would be within our rights to declare it emergency.
If the court deems that an emergency, just put in the minutes the reasons why. David can kind of outline that.
If I ordered the same car, it's gonna take 16 weeks to get it. Exactly the same car with
Palm Miller have
on-state.
one on the lot?
I'm sorry?
Do they have one on the lot?
They
Did you
do.
Get one?
What's the wishes of the court? We,
Let's move forward.
but we declared, you want to declare it emergency and purchase it at a cost of $28,154.76. Got your motion?
Yes.
Second.
Second. Any questions for David? All in favor? Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
David. In the process of building the maintenance facility out at the Taylor property, we have 2 easements that need to be authorized to sign. They're all just automatic, but we do have to sign an easement with the water company, one for sewer line and one for water line. It comes across from Canewood, will go under the road and onto our property. And Glenn's looked at them and they're in order. I need a motion to approve those 2 easements so we can move forward. Chad? Charlie? Any questions? All in favor? Okay, it is unanimous.
Judge, I'd like to back up for a minute about this vehicle.
Okay, sure.
I priced a 2015 Ford Explorer for my business about 3 weeks ago, and I couldn't touch one, reasonably well equipped. I couldn't touch one for less than $34,000.
I think he gave us this on the price of the state bid price.
Yeah.
But he did had, because it had some other things on it, there was a few $100s or so on it. But, yeah, the state bid price is a good
that
price.
28,000 is really a good
Yeah.
price for 2015.
And we bought a lot of cars from Paul Miller over the years for the county, so it helps. Dealing with the same company.
Then we also got the, let me get this here. The insurance from, that we get from CAECO, it's the liability insurance and also workers' comp. The liability premium for the county is $396,409. The workers' comp, $525,510. And that's a lot of money, but it's $19,189 less than it was this current year. This is for the, so, we have a lot of vehicles and we have a lot of workers' comp claims, and that's why the premium is what it is. But if you agree, and that's where we've been getting our insurance for the last 25 plus years.
Did you say it's a decrease?
$19,189 decrease over the prior year, according to the information they gave me.
Judge, does the county participate in any type of programs that would reduce the amount of premiums that we pay?
The road department has had some safety programs, haven't they, JR?
Yeah.
And then sheriff's department has had,
Defensive driving.
yeah, that's Gerald. And I don't know, Mike, if y'all had any. Yeah, so yes, the answer is yes, we do. I just know exactly which ones. But,
I'm just kind of surprised that it went down because we've had some.
well,
claims.
we had a lot, but we had a lot before. So that's,
Okay.
the workers' comp is the one that's really gone up. And when you pay this kind of premium, you know, you're supposed to have some accidents with that many vehicles.
That's true.
I tell you what, I had no claims in the previous 3 years, and mine went up 7% this year.
Yeah.
So for the counties to go down is phenomenal.
That's the combined premiums went down. I think workers' comp went up, liability went down, is what I think. I need a motion to approve me to sign this. Rick, all in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. We have kicked around when to have the Winding Oaks, that's the subdivision, isn't it? Meeting that we've got to go to see. They've appealed it to the fiscal court, the decision that was made, and talk to Glenn, and what I'm recommending we do, or we'll just put it on the agenda for the next meeting, which will be Thursday, and it'll just be an item on the regular agenda. And Glenn's going to contact the two parties and tell them this is when it's going to be. So eat a good supper before you come. So it may be here a while, and it may not be, but it'll be on Thursday night at part of the regular agenda, 7 o'clock. So it won't be a special meeting.
Can I ask, just for clarification, will we be hearing everything that they heard at the P and Z meeting, or are we just reviewing what they did, or what is the process?
Alvin, I've tried to contact some of the parties yesterday afternoon without success, and I've attempted to do the same thing for one party this morning without success. What I anticipate, what I'd like to see done, is to have a meeting between the attorneys from all sides and kind of develop a procedure or a protocol. But my thinking is that the court is going to kind of act like an appellate division. You're going to hear a legal argument, most likely from 2 or 3 sides, and not necessarily make it an evidentiary hearing where you're having a trial type setting. You're going to make a review of what the Planning Commission has done, how they have ruled and looked at their recommendation, and not have new testimony from witnesses yet. I do think it would be an opportune time for all parties involved to make their argument, not only from a legal standpoint, but from a factual standpoint, but just not take new evidence. You're only going to serve as a review board.
So essentially, the legal counsels can be asked questions from this body, to develop interpretations.
I think this body can ask any question that they'd like, and it may be, as it develops, Chad, that depending on what the question is and who it's directed to, it could be appropriate for legal counsel from one side to say, I would prefer so-and-so answer that. And that's okay too, but you're not opening it up, having sworn testimony and doing an entire new hearing. I just don't know that is necessary in this case, or in any of those cases, to be honest with you.
No,
Just-
we've got the disc on. Should we review them or should we not review them?
I don't think there's a problem in reviewing. That's public record.
I mean, well, should you?
Well, if you want to be familiar with the Planning Commission's recommendation and not open it up for new testimony, you probably have, you're going to have to look at it.
Okay, everybody's got a copy, so.
And I don't think that's inappropriate. If you're going to have a total new trial, it would be inappropriate to look at it because you're going to open it up and have a trial type setting. Here you're making a review of the record only, and you want to be familiar with the testimony that was provided at the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, but you're not having a new hearing. So you're only reviewing what has occurred. You probably should review that and then be prepared for either legal argument or some factual argument as well to try to sway you one way or the other.
Yeah.
If you were going to do a new trial, my advice to you is do not look at anything that they've done. It's a matter of public record, no doubt about that, but you would be taking total new testimony, most of it under sworn testimony, if not all, and then you would be actually deciding upon the issue on your own as a de novo, what it amounts to, just an initial trial, so, or a new trial. I don't think that's what you want to do. I think you want to make a review of what the planning commission has done. You've put the planning commission into a position of doing those types of things, and they're charged with that responsibility, and what you're gonna do is just review it.
Any other questions? That's the route we decided to go, so, and that's, unless something changes, that's what it'll be. One other thing before, give you out your budgets, the constable lights, I think we have, where we wanna be on them, Bill, Rick?
We are, I'm still doing some research into the insurance.
David found out some information. Have you talked to him? He's not here today.
No, I've not talked to David, but I have contacted the company that does my commercial insurance, and I've asked them, you know, if they can find anything. And basically they can't.
David told
We may
me.
be requiring them to insure, to buy a policy
Did you
that
get
they
the email
can't
he
get.
copied you in about it?
Do what?
He copied you in an email?
Yes.
Recently, okay.
Yes.
One of the things he told me for the court, and if you've been, we've all been to these insurance meetings, if they're in their line of duty, they're covered by CAECO insurance,
Yeah.
if they have an accident.
But the KRS specifically says that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I might be wrong, it says they can sue the fiscal court if someone can sue the fiscal court if they can prove that we gave the permission to use blue lights and sirens in error or didn't exercise due
Negligently or
diligence.
didn't do our due diligence, and, oh, sure, we could be named. Whether there's a recovery or not is always the question, but yes, we could be named. Yes. Mr. Hostetler asked me to see if I could find out if there was any legislative intent in that law, and you and I talked about the fact it was quite old. Nice gentleman from the LRC contacted me yesterday or the day before. Nice enough to call. I did correspond with him. He went back to look at some of the record there. He could not find any legislative notes or any legislative intent. He did give me the bill's sponsor, name and phone number. I have not had time to try to make contact with a former legislator. I can do that, but there's nothing that he could locate, at least in LRC's possession. That last amendment that was made was either in 1984 or 1986. You're talking about almost 30 years, if not 30. And he's just not aware of anything that they have a record.
Judge, the reason I'm a little hesitant to
Oh, I
jump
wouldn't
into
mind
it right
to
now
move
is
on, yeah.
I don't want to put a requirement in the ordinance that can't be met.
Yeah.
You know, that a constable can't meet. I mean, you know, I want to make sure that we have that
Sure,
insurance thing going
okay.
down before we go forward.
Well, whenever we get there, we've got to do it by ordinance reason.
And I put together just a little draft. I will fine tune it when the board
Okay.
directs me to.
Okay. What, on the budget, I said I was gonna pass out the budget today. I've I've got a committee of Alvin and David Livingston working on the salaries. I've put the budget together and I'm gonna pass it out to you. This is about the 10th one, I think, but we're where we wanna stop, unless there's changes. It's not too late to make changes. In fact, I've made a major change, which I'll tell you about just in a minute.
That's for you, Glenn.
David and Alvin and I spent several meetings, 2 or 3 or 4, talking about salaries and how to make them fair to everyone. And Alvin, you correct me if I get off base. We agreed to $1,040 across the board raise for everybody. One thing we added, which be significant, and this will be,
Everybody except part-time.
yeah, this is,
All full-time.
yeah, this is full-time, thanks. We added, are recommending that the fire department already gets this, 40 cents an hour for EMT training. So if anybody's got EMT training, then they would add that to their salary. That's every department. And it's if there was a thing on TV the other day where they had one of these shootings, and somebody in the audience asked why they didn't give a CPR to the person who's shot, and the sheriff said, "We're not trained for that." And the woman asked back, "Why aren't you trained for it?" And that's a good question, and that's part of the reason. If they get trained for it, then they get the extra money and they get paid for it. And talking to David, it takes, and Brandon, what, about 6 months of training and testing things. So it's not, you just don't go in and get it. And you have to renew it, what, every 2 years? And so we thought it was important to put that in. So that would be there. And then we also, Jack has promoted Mike Hannigan as to be deputy director. We added 58 cents an hour. He's on a 7-hour day to that salary for that promotion.
How much, George?
58 cents. That's on a 7-hour day. Those are the big things on the salary. Here's the big change. It's not more money, it's just putting it in a different budget year. With all the rain and delays that we have had on the maintenance project out there for the maintenance building and the salt barn and so forth, instead of a lot of the bills coming in this fiscal year, they're going to be coming in next fiscal year. And we had $4 million in the budget. So I added $1.5 million because work done in June we'll be paying in July. We should have been, had it, the weather cooperated, we would have probably already had the salt barn completed. We would have had the maintenance sheds at least underway, and they would have been completed by 1st of June. But in order to make sure that we have enough money without having to amend the budget next year, I transferred $1.5 million. No more expense, it's just which year we're going to pay. And those are in there. And I also had, and this doesn't need to be in the budget this time, just got a letter yesterday, and this is kind of questionable with some people on the court, and this is new. We had a request from the PDR group that we put $400,000 in for PDR, purchase of development rights. I want you to think about that. We've got money in reserve, and when we get into discussing that, that'd be the time to make a decision of whether we want to put 400,000 or 100,000. We have nothing in this year. Last year we had 150,000. So that's a big, it's a tough decision, but that's one that we need to study on and discuss at the proper time.
And those PDR funds are matched by state and
Yes.
federal as well?
Federal.
Federal.
Federal?
So far, the only matching has been from federal. When the program was started, there were a lot of programs out there that would match those, but when this one started, economy tanked, those all dried up. The only matching so far we've gotten is the federal, in the life of our program.
So if we
It's
put in
50-50, isn't it?
150,000
Yes, 50/50 from federal.
So if we put in 150,000, the federal government adds 150,000, so we actually have 300,000?
Yeah.
That's correct.
If you put in 400,000, that's what they're asking.
Yeah.
That's the asking. And another thing, I didn't bring the paper up here, but when we set up the PDR board, we had to have 3 magistrates on it. And all 3 of the magistrates on it are not magistrates anymore.
No, two.
Are you still on it?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to add 2 more magistrates to that board, regardless of whether we put money in it or don't. And I would love to have a couple of volunteers.
There are a number of properties already under the PDR. They've already been purchased, and there's maintenance on those. Whether we do any more money or not, there's maintenance for the programs.
So if somebody wants to volunteer, okay, Rick will, and anybody else.
I don't have a farm at all in my.
I think it's good if you've got some.
I'll volunteer.
Okay, Kelly, and I'll let them know. Now, any questions on the budget? That's the only changes. Oh, I did, there were one other change. Jack asked for 9 part-time employees. And we have been paying, when they do certain projects, a fee for them to do it. And he had reduced his budget from 10,000 to 5,000 but the part-time are gonna cost about 30,000. In our discussion, we thought this wasn't the time to do that, so I took the 5,000 that he had taken out and put it back into the 10,000. That was a minor change, and we will not be hiring part-time at this point in time. Now, if I've left out anything else,
I can't remember.
okay. Any questions on that? We'll have first reading of the budget now next week, because time is running out, and the minutes need to show that I presented the budget to the court on this date.
I have not been successful in getting, hang on a minute. What's his name? Stuart Foster from the Kentucky Mesonet, a date.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is a big budget line item or not, but it's $15,000 if we want to do it, and it's probably $5,000 a year maintenance and calibration.
Well, that's why we have that reserve for transfer, so
Okay.
that would, that allows us to.
He worked, his whole system is based at Western Kentucky University, and they're finishing up their school year, and it's a little crazy time for him.
Okay. Does anyone need to bring anything for the court? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
I just want to go back to emergency management on that, because I saw where that had been reduced to 5,000, but.
That was at Jack's
Right.
request, yeah.
Right, and I realized what happened there. But that's that per diem money?
Well, yeah,
Is that? Yes. I just kind of wanted to get a little education, I guess, a little
Yeah.
clarification. Is it so much an event?
It's based on special projects and calls, responses, they go on.
But I mean, like, if you use them in some of these emergencies that we've recently had.
Yes.
Is it just like, there's an event, so they get $25?
Right.
I just.
yeah, if we put a part-time, then you've got to be concerned about the 100 hours. You know, you've got to, put it on the payroll. There's a lot of things that you are required to do as opposed to doing it the way we're doing it.
Right, and I was just looking
Yeah.
at the potential of maybe bumping that per diem, but I'm not sure that I totally understand how that works.
Yeah.
That's the reason I was, in lieu of going to part-time,
Yeah.
still trying, because those folks are volunteers, and
Yeah.
I think that's incredible that they do that. So,
George, just looking at the new budget, the department staff, which would be the assistant director's salary is $34,540. I think that should go up another $1,040 because the intention was to give the standard raise plus $1,040 for the promotion. So that
Well,
number would need to go up another $1,040 if I
it's-
looked at this right.
The amount that's in there from the previous year is more than what his
Okay.
stated salary, because he's eligible for overtime.
Okay.
And
Okay, that's,
I think his salary, like 31,000 something now.
okay. I was going
And
for
then
what-
he'll go over that 31,000 because of overtime. He's subject to overtime. I think it's what, 34,000 in the previous one?
It was 33,
Yeah.
500.
But that was extra to cover overtime. I might need to add a little bit even to that. which,
If you had overtime, I just probably won't have some this year, so we probably
Yeah.
ought to provide for that.
Does he get hazardous duty pay
No.
for when he cleans up a
It's not
mobile meth
eligible for
lab or
that.
anything?
Not eligible.
Okay.
It's not it's the state declares who's eligible and who's not.
Okay.
Ambulance don't get hazardous duty either, do they? You do get hazardous duty. Yeah, Jack's the only one, and I guess that's the only department that doesn't get hazardous duty. Okay. Any other questions? You have anything else? Oh, Gerald?
I was just gonna, it's not the thing that come up anyway, since it was brought up earlier, I heard Glenn mentioning that somebody asked him about this, and it relates to the constable thing, real quick. we don't overall are trying to throw a dog in this fight on what you all decide on this. It comes down to how you decide to go about regulating it. The question was brought up earlier about if there'd been any legislation coming in or whatever. The only comment I was going to make is that whatever you guys are deciding to do on this, I wouldn't stand by and hold my breath waiting for state legislation to decide it for you, because it's been brought up several times over the last few years. The Kentucky Sheriff's Association has tried to introduce several forms of legislation to regulate this. Part of the problem is that, again, the Constable Association apparently is a very strong organization. We weren't really aware of that when this came about. And then also a problem comes from counties, other counties across the state. You have a lot of smaller counties that have small sheriff's offices that don't have a lot of coverage, that actually in a way end up depending upon their constables to help with a lot of stuff. So whenever it's been brought up a couple times, like Glenn was saying, there's a couple times the bills that have been sponsored or brought out to come, and they don't go very far at all, because of, again, the interest of these smaller counties across the state and this association and so forth. So I just wanted to throw in a comment real quick that this has been dealt with several times over the last few years. We've been involved in it a couple times, trying to help with that and providing certain levels of information. But again, you've got out of the 120, probably roughly 25 or 30 counties that are basically together saying we don't need this, as far as that goes. As far as with the help with the constables kind of thing, we're in a pretty good position to do that. At the same time, you've got 80 to 90 counties that are saying we count on this, so we don't want you changing this statewide. So that's where we went. That's where we're at on that. So I just wanted to kind of throw out real quick, if whatever you're deciding to do on this, I wouldn't be standing by waiting hoping that the state's going to legislate it for you, because
We're not holding our breath on state legislature at all.
I don't see it happening. It's just we don't see it happening anytime soon.
We're just trying to do what's right and best. for the
Yeah, no, I
citizens
understand, and that's a
Scott
great
County.
idea. I just, I heard it mentioned the part about the legislation, so I just don't see that coming anytime soon. So, all right.
Thank you, Gerald. Rick, you have anything else?
Yes, sir.
Our meeting in the end of this month, I will be in Arizona and will not be able to attend.
The what?
The meeting at the end of this month, our Thursday night meeting, I will be in Arizona and not be able to attend.
Now, one of the things, and that's important, because to overturn or the planning and zoning's bill, it takes a majority of the court, not a majority of the quorum. So,
This has been on.
well, you can't help it.
Been
I'm
on my
not-
calendar since last
Yeah,
September.
I don't know, Glenn, we go to.
Well, that's not up to me. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. It's gonna take 5 members, at least 5 members to go one way or the other.
Okay.
And there is a deadline of when
Mhm.
we have to meet.
Is there a way I can do a proxy vote or no absentee vote?
Anybody, thanks for that good news.
I'm sorry.
Well, nobody blaming you, that's something.
The last thing I saw was a May date, and I thought, okay, May 1st, we're good with that, then all of a sudden,
Well, we've had some conflicts with that big time. Kelly? Charlie?
Thank you.
Lynn? No, well, we were going to schedule the zoning meeting, but since we're not, that was why we had,
Let's leave that alone.
yeah. Number 9 was, the reason that's on there like it is, that was originally the time we were gonna have the meeting. And that's why we got canceled, reschedule May work session, and do the public hearing, but since we're rescheduling the meeting, we don't need anything else.
No, you're on. Thank you.
Stacy?
The invitation
The
for
what?
conservation.
Oh, the conservation group has asked us to come out for a brunch after the meeting on May the 8th. So,
Make sure you RSVP to them, so
yeah,
you know.
or let Stacy know if you're going. After we meet here, we'd go out there. It said 10:30. Anything else? No, I stand adjourned.
I'll go, and Stacy, I know Alvin will be there.